If you're working through how to grow your MSP and in what direction, take a look at this video where we're going to be exploring the types of growth. The options that you have in growing your business could be to grow your numbers like a panda, slowly and over time. Doesn't happen very often, and it's a bit of a celebration when it does, although hopefully, unlike pandas, your new customers won't be all owned by the Chinese government. Separately, you could grow your business like a rabbit grows its numbers. Lots and lots of them very, very quickly, but they may not be all the perfect fits that you're looking for. My analogy will make more sense as we go into the video. So with my weird and wonderful analogies, by panda I mean a focused industry niche or niche, and a sector, a particular industry vertical that you wish to specialize in and know everything about, be totally all over that sector to allow you to grow your client base within that specific vertical. While that may reduce the number of potential new clients, it does allow you to focus your message, have a specific target lookalike audience in mind that you can reach out to with your marketing, with a message that's tailored especially for them. To get success from that message and to be seen as a specialist in that particular industry vertical, you need to know everything about them. You need to know what makes them tick. And in fact, you perhaps need to know more about them than they know about themselves. And by that, I mean you need to understand regulations, compliance, process, everything that's really unique to that specific vertical, be it healthcare, law firms, accountants, financial services, whatever it might be. They will have something in their sector that is a specific regulation or working practice that they are forced to adopt or perhaps regulated to adopt. So you must understand all of the nuances of that and make sure that you can tailor your message and ultimately the technology that you would serve for that market around that uniqueness. Otherwise, there's nothing unique in your marketing message. You may also be required, therefore, to be involved in apps, tools and services that are specific also to that sector. Things that are well beyond Microsoft, well beyond the comfort of the normal apps and services that you would be involved with as an MSP. But only then can you define yourself as sector specific. How else can you stand yourself apart from the average Joe MSP that's a Microsoft shop if you don't understand the CRM, the ERP system, any of the other specific software apps, databases, tools, cloud services that they would use within that particular industry setting. And that might mean that you will need to learn how to support those apps, be involved with the third parties, get involved with training and installation, migrations, things that you ordinarily would normally avoid because it would be done by a sector specialist or perhaps the software vendor themselves. But it's a great extra tool to have in your arsenal when reaching out to a specific vertical. Another consideration is to involve yourself with membership bodies, associations, perhaps even the regulator themselves in that sector. It's the great way to stand yourself out from the crowd as the subject matter expert in the industry vertical that you're looking to target. Lean on that body, lean on the association, get involved with guest writing content for their blog, get them to include you in the educational material that they share to their audience. They're not going to be technology experts, so if they've got a friend that they can rely upon that's going to put out credible education on their behalf, then I'm sure you'll find they'll support you more easily than you might first think. And finally, by focusing on a particular niche, you could actually benefit by having fewer customers. They're easier to manage, the account management is therefore simpler. Could actually be a good opportunity for you to focus on increasing your margin while perhaps not necessarily increasing your turnover that dramatically. It could also be difficult for them to move away. If you've particularly specialized in supporting them with all of their unique requirements within the business, they're not likely to find anyone else in the market that will rise to those same challenges. Also, the age-old reliable source of leads, such as referrals, could also reopen. The opportunity to tap into the networks within certain industry settings, those industries that are well linked, where people move from one business to another, or there are relationships between those established businesses. That's something that you could also leverage by being involved with a particular vertical. Separately to the panda model, the rabbit-like growth that I mentioned in terms of broad, non-industry specific growth might well mean that you are far more broad and acquiring potentially imperfect customers from that ideal perfect fit lookalike that you've developed over the number of years that you've been in business. But it does mean that you've got the potential to reach out to a much larger market. And ultimately, with the level of competition in the MSP space, when you're playing the numbers game of needing to acquire net new customers that want to outsource everything from support across their cloud services, cybersecurity, BCDR, comms, all in one bucket to their MSP, then why should it matter which industry sector you go after? And arguably, to reduce risk, especially after what's happened in recent years that the pandemic has shown, with certain industries being affected more than others, you have the opportunity by balancing your client base across multiple verticals to in fact reduce the risk that you might carry if one of those verticals happens to suffer in a particular recession or event, as we've seen recently. Along with the reduction in risk, there is also the potential to reduce the reliance on your revenue coming from too few customers. The higher percentage of revenue you have from a smaller pool of customers, the bigger risk you carry should you ever inadvertently lose one of those customers. Getting more smaller, potentially, customers on board could actually help you broaden and balance your risk across a bigger pool of clients. As we explored with the industry specific message, we will still need cards up our sleeve, a trick to play to be able to break the if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality that people will have. The mentality where a usual SMB will not consider what's good or bad about their IT support because generally their MSP will fix things when they're broken. So we will still need to play the card of having something unique to go out to them with. And to be able to think differently without going down a particular industry niche, and by think differently I mean propose differently, to be able to have a unique message that makes them act, makes them see you as an alternative, a more viable alternative to the current MSP that they have. You've got to get under the skin of the business. The sales qualification process in meeting a prospect has got to expose operational, commercial pain that you can address through technology. The automation, apps, structure, tools, services that you can bolt on that actually deliver day-to-day value that saves them time, reduces risk, and increases their profitability. They're the things that you've got to focus your message on. Less about proactive support. We answer the phones quickly. We always fix things on time. That's taken as a given. You've got to focus on the things that matter most to them, the responsibilities, pains, drivers, challenges that are sat on the owner's shoulders of the SMB that you're trying to engage. With an alternative proposal, you may also be forced to look outside of your usual stack. Engaging a small business customer that perhaps doesn't know you very well, you've got to build up trust and rapport with them before you can sell your full stack, just as you have with your existing client base over a number of years. Try and engage them around something that's a unique fit to them, and that may force you to change your pricing model entirely. And while that's not ideal to have different customers on different grades of plans, the market's changing. We're now not only competing against other MSPs to sell our services, we're in fact competing against the vendors and other SaaS operators too. People that are specializing in certain verticals or are wrapping a product around a specific need and making it as commoditized as possible. So lumping in too much behind one price could be too much for someone to digest now if there's a myriad of other options available out there on the market. By tailoring your proposition, you also get the benefit of stronger involvement with that business. You set off your relationship on the right foot, that you're an integral part of what's going on. If you've solved a big problem that they've got by going above and beyond in tailoring something unique, think about how loyal they're going to be to you as a supplier and keep you for far longer than they would an average service that they're receiving that isn't particularly tailored to them. So think further about adjusting that proposal and wrapping around the right tools and services in a way that the prospect would understand, a price point that the prospect would understand and value. So in summary, you can either grow your numbers like a panda, be laser focused, chipping away for that perfect fit customer, and possibly grow, but slowly. It carries risk in the numbers, getting enough leads to get enough conversions, and of course the time and energy that it takes to build up that engine to get those leads, get that position and respect in that market to get those lead inquiries in the first place. Or plan to grow your numbers like a rabbit would grow its numbers. Appreciate that sales is potentially a dirty business. It's a grey area. It's very different to those referral leads that you've been reliant on in the past. Finding perfection, of course, is tough. So if you want to achieve growth, then you need to understand that perhaps that growth will not be perfect. But it is new relationships, relationships that you can cultivate over a period of time. You can shape that lump of marble into the statue, but it will take a long time to do that. And it's a journey that you've probably gone through before with your existing customer base. And you need to be prepared to go through that journey again as you acquire new customers through proactive growth. So be prepared to alter your perfect idea of a working relationship, your proposition, your price, your stack of services to win those new customers that you need and want.